everyone, this is update for August 20, 2022, day 178 of the war, end of the date update. So first, just a quick update on sort of agriculture food. There are some anecdotal evidence, evidence in Ukraine that says that the yields are 20 to 30% down, and this is in the regions that are tend to be very high yield and very stable climate, just typically very sort of reliable sources of wheat and other grains. So, given what's going on in their commodities market, specifically agriculture commodities, this definitely does not. There's some kind of mispricing mismatch, given that the prices of commodities sold off, specifically wheat, which is one of the major staples of Ukrainian agriculture. And so what this really means for Ukrainian farmers, that given that the yield is low, 20 to 30%, and the prices are down as well, there is very little incentive to actually invest in this fall. Actually, there is some of it is being planted this fall in about October timeframe, plus minus, and then obviously then spring. So we may, as we discussed before, we may be going for perfect storm in sometime in next year, where there's just going to be simply shortages of food. And we're pretty sure that something similar is going on in Russia. There are problems obviously in Europe as well due to the weather. And related to this situation, we have some little bit more information on the export to Ukrainian grains. So it's essentially the price that Ukrainian farmers get is about 50% discount to FOB price. FOB means free on board of the ships, of the bulkers that pick it up, let's say in Odessa. So let's say if the price right now about that's being paid FOB is $350 per metric ton for Ukrainian wheat, they're getting about between $120 to $170, depending also on your region, because depending on the region, your logistical cost is different, transportation costs might be higher, but so as you can see, they barely getting like half of their FOB price, and so what's really happening is this is becoming kind of like a squeeze on the profitability of the farmers, because ship owners get their sort of share, right? The freight went up significantly. The Ukrainian railroad is charging higher because the Ukrainian government decided to charge higher. Everybody's trying to charge, and who is kind of like sort of holding the bag is actually farmer, and farmer is the key to produce. So what we can be says again, this is another sort of vector in the direction of that perfect storm down the road that will basically probably almost guarantees that many farmers will just fold up and just decided to wait out another season, and it's just better not to risk their capital essentially. So that's just let's say if I were a farmer, that's what I would do. I would just fold it and I wouldn't do anything, and just preserve my capital and see what's going to happen in a year essentially. So this is and then also there was there is a lot of talk about, okay, let's get Ukrainian wheat and other grains through railroad, either going through Poland or even going through Romania. So we just have numbers for Romania. It costs it's exorbitantly high, the cost of bringing grains from Odessa to even Constanza, which is next to Ukrainian border, Romanian port. It's about $200 per metric ton. So it's essentially non-starter, and this is only Romania, which is super close. So if we're talking about Poland, that's even more non-starter. So there's that problem, there's that bottleneck. that the only viable path is through the ships, through Odessa. And then there is another problem looming on horizon is a shortage of storage facilities, because there is still a lot of leftover grain from the sort of past marketing year, which usually starts, I think, in July 1st or August 1st, and then it lasts the next year. So there could be a lot of loss of grains due to shortage of storage facilities. So as you can see, there's three major sort of problems. A, there is no incentive to produce for the farmer because the margins are being totally destroyed and decimated. B is this problems with storage facility, and C, there's only one viable way to export is, and specifically only by ships through Odessa at this point. So we may see some problems as we sort of predicted if things remain the way they are, right? So this assuming that things are not going to change, which they could, but now view probability is not that high. Now let's switch actually to the military update. Let's just kind of discuss high level what's going on the front line. So it seems that Russian troops started a major offensive today on multiple fronts, and the main sort of idea, it seems to me, it's probably maybe way too early to discuss, but the initial kind of our take is the Russian command decided to renew their idea of creating pincers. Essentially, we don't know. We're skeptical that they have enough resources to do that, but nevertheless they're trying. So they started pretty aggressive action from the Izyum bridgehead. Then they trying to attack here near Velika Novosilka, where there is a wedge, if you remember. At the same time, they're continuing pushing sort of frontal kind of attacks near Bakhmut, Soledar, and then straight west of Donetsk. But now let's actually walk through the front line, and we'll see all of that information in more details. So first of all, along the state border, situation more or less the same. It's relatively low activity in terms of artillery fire, airstrike, rocket strike, mortar strikes, all of that. It's relatively quiet. Now let's move to Kharkiv front line. Here, there were two attacks by Russian side. One is kind of like this road straight towards Kharkiv, it's towards Pitomnik, and then other one is towards Ruski Tishki. We just want to confirm that this didn't happen today or yesterday. This is we actually confirmed the control of this village Slobozhansky, and it's controlled by Russian troops. So this has been captured, or Russian troops captured this probably sometime before. So this is not sort of August 20 advance or August 19 advance. This happened prior to that. This is just our confirmation of actual front line here. Otherwise, but they did attack in this direction here. Both attacks didn't yield anything, but nevertheless they tried. Now let's move to Izyum bridgehead. Let's move south. So again, here we also would like to we clarified the front line. So it turns out this village Dmitrivka was under Russian control. This is not the recent capture. They control it probably for several months at this point. So this is something we kind of missed there. So again, going back to this situation here, a pretty strong attack in sort of more dangerous location, not towards Slovyansk, which is kind of frontal and in many ways unintelligent attacks that they were doing, which was usually here, Krasnopilya and Dolina. So this time it's a little bit better planned, more intelligent sort of moves. The attack is towards Barvinkova here, this town here. So Russian troops, as you can see, are attacked here, Karnaukhivka, Vernopilya, Novodmitrivka, and here towards Pashkova. So this is kind of like axis of attack is towards Barvinkova, which if Russian troops manage to breaks through Ukrainian defenses. This capture of this town creates huge problems and potential collapse of Ukrainian defenses in this area. Now but just to make it clear, the front line held, so nothing, the Russian troops did not manage to penetrate Ukrainian defenses here. This is first day of offensive. Remains to be seen if Russian troops have firepower to continue this sort of hitting against Ukrainian defenses. And we're somewhat skeptical that Russian forces have enough resources, but at the same time, we don't have any specific kind of insider information on the Russian units and troops and so on. But this is the situation for now. We'll continue sort of monitoring the development of the situation. Now let's move to North Donbass front line. Let's see what's going on there. So things here are somewhat sort of, I guess, similar. Is large attacks, but however in the same areas. This Ivanodarivka, Kavimka, this kind of location. We've seen these attacks for a while. Then attacks towards Soledar and Bakhmut, which predictably don't lead anywhere. We discussed this many times. The defenses here are just naturally advantaged Ukrainian side in both Bakhmut and Soledar. So this one we're not totally clear. This just so far, so far Russian troops do not have sort of success. But however, the main focus of attack, from what we're seeing, is actually Bakhmut and south. So as you can see, there are major attacks here towards Zaitsevo, then Kadema is kind of like the Russian troops trying to, this salient, they kind of trying to sort of shave it off by basically creating encirclement here. And then Russian troops also trying to shave off this salient here, but both attacking from this both sides and try to create pincer. And then just straightforward attack towards north. None of this went anywhere so far on today. We'll see if Ukrainian defenses are will be holding on. Really, again, depends on the Russian forces, right? As we discussed, we're somewhat skeptical that Russia has enough infantry for successful large-scale offensive. At least we haven't seen large build-up of Russian troops, but nevertheless, we could be wrong, and that might be a big surprise. But we believe that that's a very low probability scenario, let's put it this way. Now let's move south. Let's see what's going on straight west of Donetsk. So things here are somewhat kind of similar. The attacks are essentially focused around this village Pisky, which Russian troops captured, and now they're trying to kind of like exploit this initial success and kind of break further through Ukrainian defenses. So far, they look like they seem to be bogged down. Let's actually look because this like two large scale map. Let's just look at more detailed situation here. So this hasn't changed since past like 3 or 4 or 5 days. But so as you can see, the key is this Pisky, which was captured, which was large Ukrainian stronghold. Now, essentially, fighting is going on along this road M30, and the main sort of axis of attack is this village Opitny here, and then Russian troops trying to cross over the road and hit Vodyane. Then they're trying to push here towards Pervomaisk. So basically, they're trying to expand this kind of initial success near Pisky into sort of bigger corridors that could be then exploited. And then there's another attack that potentially could be dangerous is from towards Nevenske, and then the idea is to hit Pervomaisk essentially from south. This is actually, we are not at this point, we're actually not 100% firm that Nevenske is in Ukrainian hands. It's only possible that Russian troops have advanced somewhat more north. We don't know where they are, but totally even possible that the fighting is going on the sort of southern outskirts of Pervomaisk, basically along this road M30. So this is something that's under big question. As soon as we sort of find out more, we'll provide update. But this could be, if this is sort of true, this is going to be a big negative development for Ukrainian defenses in this area, because essentially this whole chunk crumbled, and there's a hole here that could be exploited by Russian troops. It also obviously depends on their ability to execute this opportunity, but it looks like there might be something down the road for them. Let's now move to it's actually one more other area where the Russian troops are trying to attack is towards this village Zolotaniva. Basically, this road from Velika Novosilka to Vuhledar is being controlled by Ukrainian troops. Russian troops trying to basically get across this road, and this is actually where we're trying to say is that Russian troops trying to revive this idea of the southern pincer. We'll now move to the Zaporizhzhia front line, and we'll try to kind of see that there is being wedged here. So apparently this kind of part gets stuck, so they're trying to kind of attack from this more like eastern area to kind of create salient around Velika Novosilka and force basically withdrawal or encirclement, and then again you're creating a big hole in Ukrainian defenses to use the to basically create the southern pincer that's obviously going to go north. But let's just move to the Zaporizhzhia front line to kind of better see the situation. So you can see this is the road from Velika Novosilka to basically Pavlika Vuhledar, and the attack is towards this village, towards village Zolotaniva. If Russian troops are successful, let's say they move all the way to Shakhtarsk, this becomes salient, semi-encircled, and Ukrainian troops will have to withdraw. And that usually leads to heavy losses in both equipment and soldiers, and this creates opportunity potentially to kind of break through further Ukrainian defenses. Again, it's all big question whether Russian troops have enough manpower, which again we're somewhat skeptical that they do. So we'll see in the coming days if that's something truly big or this is just big flop. Remains to be seen. Now let's move to Kherson bridgehead and let's see what's going on there. Nothing new in terms of the attacks on the bridges and dam, which is the key here, and obviously that sort of makes it more negative for Ukrainian side. Most of the front line is stable, with the exception of one area where Russian troops attempted attack towards kind of like this Halitsinova here, this village. Didn't go anywhere. It's totally unclear to us the whole point of this attack, because Russian troops really, at least we believe so, not high on ammunition in this area and general supplies. So is it just try to prove like, hey, everything's okay, all of the bridges are functioning and we have, everything is okay on our side, just to kind of prove that, paint the picture, or they truly have enough supply. We kind of believe it's more like painting the picture in this area. That's it for the day. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow. Bye bye.